Want to fill this out? Okay. Oh, thanks. Okay, so as everyone kind of knows, we're all in here for the lunch and learn. This is going to be the new format for rolling out SOPs that we've been working on, and it'll be kind of like SOP updates, and then they will get issued, and there will be a training associated with these as we go forward. You'll see that we've got a regular cadence of these. If anyone misses them, we're recording them, but please notify us if you're not able to come on future ones. So quick update. Carly, do you have the scheduling, like the calendar SOP? We're gonna send this one out, but just a reminder, scheduling and calendar SOP, this is just to make sure that everyone has shared their calendar with the ConOps team so that when scheduling is happening, we can see what people's availability is and be able to help kind of shuffle and get things scheduled appropriately. It's a huge help. A lot of people have already done this, but if you haven't, definitely get in there, add these people so that it's going to make your life easier, because when Carly or any of us are scheduling, she can make sure that there's no conflicts, and when it's just blacked out or blued out, if you will, it's really hard to make that call. So that's part of it. Second part of this is adding any of your time off or out of office or working remote to the ConOps calendar. Just a reminder of how that works. We've got the procedure down at the bottom here. You guys will all get this in the email that goes out after this. But when you are taking time off, you're just gonna block it on your calendar and then add ConOps to, it's like conops@buckingham.com, and just add that individual to it, and then it'll plop it onto that calendar, which is a centralized one, so that we can see when people are on different sites, and it helps everyone just with logistics. So that is the update on that. Heads up on the next SOP trainings, the next basically lunch and learn that we're going to be having. We're going to run through drawing management and unit layout sheets, submittals, the updated process. I think a lot of people will be happy with that. It definitely simplifies things. And then we're also going to dive into schedules and 4-week look ahead. So it'll be a pretty heavy content day, but again, just let us know if you're not able to make it, and I'll let Carly talk about some other just kind of housekeeping things.
So you guys all received an email from Ashley Parker. You probably received, I think, 3 now, about how to enroll in Selflessly, and it will tie into your Okta. It's just basically keeping track of volunteer opportunities through Buckingham. There's not been a lot of participation in Q1 opportunities. So whenever you guys get a chance, please go back and reference that email from Ashley Parker. Sign up for any of the volunteer events that you can, and it's through Selflessly, and it'll give you a tutorial breakdown on Selflessly as well. So just get a hold of that whenever you guys can.
Let's talk about this really quick too. The block cleanup.
Oh, and in particular, it's, let's say March 24th. So it's 3:30 to 4:30, give or take. So we are working with the department and doing a block cleanup. It's just for construction specifically, but you don't need to bring anything, just yourself. No skills are required. It's just all of us getting together to focus on cleaning up the area around Buckingham and our neighboring streets. And that is one of the first opportunities once you log into Selflessly that pops up, and it's really easy to sign up. Again, that tutorial is on one of her emails. Just log in and it should start to tie in to your Outlook calendar. But if not, just remember to put that on your Outlook calendar that you are volunteering for that block cleanup specifically.
And Katie Brable is kind of the one heading that. And she does put like a carrot at the end of the stick. She does bring happy hour. She brings like a remote happy hour for those who clean up the block. So if you're available, it'll be great for participation to have construction kind of show up to that. I will continue to send out reminders, but let us know if you have any questions on that.
All right, to add to what Rebecca was saying with the SOPs and the process, it is one of our focuses, Rebecca's, mine, and Carly's, to get the SOPs updated. We've had a lot of software changes, programs, processes. we kind of slacked with this a little bit last year, but really pushed to get these things updated, so they're what needs to happen. On that same line, one of the things that was really in need of updating was the deliverables. So, through meetings with the PEs, the PMs, the site guys, we realized there was a lot of extra work here being done and didn't need to be done. And we focused on trying to make this a lot easier and simple as far as the process of where we're storing this information, the process in general, how we're doing it. So I'm gonna let Carly go through some of the highlights, some of the things that we've talked about and things we've changed, so.
And I will chime in really quick. So just a heads up, so we've got BCS and BCC in the meeting right now. Just for an update for anyone who doesn't know, BCS is moving on to Procore. So they'll be joining in on these because we're mirroring the process for BCS to be similar to BCC. So we will call out the kind of separate changes. So for example, the next SOP training, we'll be going over schedules and 4-week look ahead. So we'll talk about it as a whole with what's similar, and then we'll also call out the BCS specific items. That way all the teams are included and everyone's kind of on the same page.
And for the site staff deliverables, the people that are aware of what those are and how they operate, you still have the same items to go through every single month for the deliverables, except what we really focus on changing was the frequency as well as where we're storing everything. So we're migrating off the M Drive and we're gonna go to Procore. And this will be a lot easier for the site to access and everyone, so things are not so combobulated. But everything will be located on Procore, and that's listed in the software section. And we did go through and adjust the frequency of some of the items. So please review that or print this out if you need it, just to remember what the frequency is for the specific items. And also the special conditions section, we listed to follow the current SOPs. So obviously we're rolling out new SOPs whenever we know that they need adjusted and edited with software. But those will now be, after we email them out the first time, they will be housed in the Procore Training Center. And it is revamped at the moment. Rebecca and I are actually working with the Procore team to adjust how this looks and fine tune everything. So things have been moved. So if you have bookmarks or certain areas where you thought something was, you might have to play around with it a little bit, but you're able to click into all of these. And on the training center, this is how we broke it down now. So we have it broken up into phasing. It's also alphabetical. And then you can click into these and it still should have the same information that we had previously. But as we roll out new SOPs, we'll just be updating them. So it'll have the most current processes on there.
So you'll see how it's broken out by phase. So this, we kind of wanted to simplify it to kind of clean it up. So whether you're a site individual or you're a PM or a PE in the office or support, we wanted to make sure that you're not seeing like a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need to see. So if the SOP pertains to your grouping, you'll see it in your like category. So all the site stuff, that site deliverables is going to be, if you click into site, you'll see it there. You'll also see the stuff that's pertaining to the other groups, vice versa. And then we've got like another third category that's just going to be a recap of these meetings and links to the training videos and any other supplemental information. So trying to simplify it again from what we had originally. So if anyone has any feedback, go ahead and shoot an email to Carly or myself, and we will take that into consideration and try and continually improve on what we've got.
And so this one's deliverables and project matrix. So I did include the smart sheet for the project matrix, and Tom will talk about that in a second. And the site staff deliverable PDF is at the bottom. Again, we're emailing these at the end of the session, but reference the training center if you guys need those immediately or out at the site for any reason.
Any
Hi,
questions?
everyone.
Thanks, Nate.
Yeah.
Any questions on the site deliverables or?
Talked about it a few times.
Yeah, I
So
think we talked that
if
one
you
to death,
haven't figured it out yet, let us know, but
Read the sheet.
yeah.
Read the sheet.
All right, let's go on and move on to responsibility matrix. This is something we did a long time ago when me and Drew first got here. We found it was very helpful, so Drew, myself, Rebecca, Carly, redid this so that it's more adaptable for how we kind of run things now. So the base of this is kind of like this is your template for when the job starts, responsible between the field guys, the office, the PEs, all the way down through items that we think is typical for all projects. This is not set in stone as we talk about. So every team is different. The skill set for every team is different based off the project manager to the lead super. Everyone has different skill sets and strengths. So the plan with this is a baseline. So on every project, before we start, when the team is set in place, which is usually early on with plenty of time, the super, the lead super, the project manager, they sit down, they go through this, they figure out who's gonna be responsible for what, put together a plan, and then run it past me, and then we'll talk about it, and then if everything looks good, we'll implement that as a responsibility matrix for that project, and that way everyone stays in their lane, and it makes it a lot smoother working through the project.
Can I clarify something?
Yes.
LS is not Lori Seago.
It is.
So-
It's not.
I'm not responsible.
Ultimately
Yeah.
responsible.
So we've also built in some filters, so it kind of looks a bit scattered, but when we start to go through this, we'll roll this out and show each of you guys, but you can then use filters or create your own filters so that you don't have to look at anything that doesn't pertain to you, for example. So, yeah, that is the template. And if anyone has questions, let Tom and the group know.
Now the fun part, the site orientation drug card process that we've rolled out at the corner. Thank you, Mr. Haley and Jared, for being the practice for this. I appreciate all your guys' feedback. And thanks, Brian and Justin as well. So now we have a different process for the site orientation inspections across the board. And I know Beth Page had started this as well, but I have a video of how to conduct this on the iPad, as well as I will go through and show you how to do it on the computer through Procore. But and also you'll get this SOP at the end, but I'll pull it up on Procore to show you guys. And so obviously in Procore, you want to make sure you're on the correct project. I will use Beth Page as an example since I've overutilized the corner for all of these. So you want to be on your correct project, and then your project tools, you want to be under inspections. And then once you're on inspections, in the top right-hand corner, the orange create button, you're going to want to click that and scroll down to subcontractor site orientation. And with this, it pre-populates your distribution list. You can add people or take people off for your distribution list as well, so you can still edit that function. And the most important part about this inspection is the responsible contractor. So with the responsible contractor, you only need to, so per month, you only need to have one inspection per subcontractor. So Carter Painting, for the entire month of March, they will have one inspection that you can go in and edit every single time you have a new site orientation or a new subcontractor on site for that company. And you just need to close it out at the end of the month, which I will show you that as well. But this is a really important part to fill out because this is how you filter the subcontractor and everything like that. So once you populate that information, you're going to click create in the bottom right-hand corner, the gray button. And it puts in all your information from the top. And then in section 1.1, we've rolled out a new site orientation sheet. And on the site orientation sheet, it lists just the company at the top. So you would put the Carter Painting and then your name. You also will have a spot, which you'll see in the video. You'll have a spot for the hard hat number and then their signature. And so your guys will, or girls will be filling this out every time they're on site. You can print it and have everyone sign it and pass it around. Or I've also created a fillable form that everyone will have access to edit it on the iPad. But they'll just add their name in and you'll attach a file every time. So you can go into your photos or you can take a photo right then on the spot after you have all your people fill out their signatures. You just take a picture of it on your desk and then upload that. And then that correlates to the drug cards because every single person that is on that site orientation sheet should have a drug card to match with their name. So that's going to easily eliminate people not having a drug card on site because we can hand check it right then and there and have everything easily accessible. So if you have 10 guys from Wilhelm or any subcontractor company, you can lay them all out on your desk at once and just take a photo of that and then attach the file the exact same way you would before. And it'll show that in the video as well. And then while you're answering these questions, you want to make sure you're selecting a response just so it has it as complete. So once you fill in that site orientation and you attach a file, you can put yes. And for the drug cards, once you attach a file, put yes. Now, Mr. Haley on his, so he has been notating, you have a comment section. So for example, if someone forgot their drug card, but he had all of their information, he would type in like their numbers and stuff like that. So you do have the option to put in a comment, but mainly just attach files of their drug cards. And just a common housekeeping rule, please do not, Lori is very prominent on this, please do not put driver's license photos in here just because it does have more personal information than the actual drug card itself. Just make sure you're capturing the drug card itself and not the driver's license. And then let me move my meeting. And for the aerial lift, other certifications. So if you have someone else that has other certifications that you want to document, you'll do the exact same thing as just lay out their certification. You'll take a picture of it and attach the file as well. Now, if you have someone that does not, the entire subcontractor company does not have anything, you can put not applicable. And so with this, once you're finished, you will have to click close. So it will auto distribute to that select list that you clicked. And so now it reads that this inspection's closed. But let's say Carter Painting comes back the next day and they have more guys that you need to add to the site. All you would have to do is reopen the inspection and then add in those extra signatures with a new photo of the site orientation sheet and then add more pictures of the drug cards. Does that make sense up to this point? I know some of you have seen the process a couple times now. Any questions on that? No? Okay. And then again, so now since
I've
you
got a question.
oh, go ahead, Mr. Sean. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
So how are we supposed to ID these guys without using their, and I understand why Lori doesn't want that on there, but how are we supposed to ID and know who's who if we don't have an ID to put in the drug file?
You can still check that, just don't upload the driver's license. You can still verify that yourself.
Well, I can verify it myself, but I don't know everybody on. I mean, if I have 100 people on site, I'm not going to remember. It's just a matter of, do we?
The intent is not to capture IDs and like people, it's just to capture their drug card image, or if they have the acceptable PDF sheet that has come from like the DISA or whatever it's called now. So you're just capturing that information.
Okay,
Yeah.
good enough.
Basically, the driver's license is being used to verify the name against the
The
test
card,
or their
or the,
card.
right, and I
Yeah.
get that. So That's what I'm saying.
No,
You could
I-
still verify that, but
Right,
just
you
don't
just don't
put
need
that
the
driver's
documents.
Yeah.
license on it.
Sean's comment is related to after that happens, right, Sean?
Say again?
Your question was more towards after the upload is complete, say you need to cross-reference something, it wouldn't be there if you needed it? Or are you just saying at the point of the upload?
Well, I'm just saying that I don't know whatever, and I'm not trying to be a smart ass, but I'm just saying that. So if something happens and they, you could verify their drug information, but I don't know everybody on the site that if something happens, I don't know. It just seems like down the road.
It's not really our responsibility to track that. So if you do the driver's license to the person, verify who it is, you give them a hard hat sticker. If the guy has a hard hat sticker that it matches the name or drug card that we have on our file, then we did our due diligence. If something happens where someone gets hurt or something happens, that's their company's responsibility to track.
Okay.
We're not the ID police. So if we do our initial response and then go from there, then that's on them. We've done our due diligence. We followed the CCS rules and we're doing our due diligence. But I mean, it's a good point, Sean, but I think once we get past that, it's not our responsibility.
Okay. Thanks.
Dave, did you have a question? You unmuted.
Yeah, if they don't have an ID, and a lot of the guys out here do not, what do you want us to do? Do we take their word for it, or do they need a picture ID? Or do you want us to verify that at all?
This is on the subcontractors. We do not have time to do this. So they're sending people out with IDs that we can't verify it. Then you call the contractor and say, send me somebody out here with an ID that can verify it. It's not our responsibility to get this deep into this.
If that happens, Dave, that's when the PM team needs to help enforce that.
That's when the PM gets involved and it becomes a problem. It escalates to me. Then we'll deal with it then. But this isn't your guys' it's getting too time since we've been doing that much stuff.
Okay, so if they don't have an ID, we get
So I have
somebody,
Go ahead, sorry.
they don't have an ID, then we have to get someone from their company to ID them,
No,
or we send them away.
That is their company's responsibility. So if they don't have an ID, you can get with your PM, get with the project manager of that company, say, you just send me people that have IDs that we can verify who they are. We're not going to accept this. And you don't let them on the job site. It's not our job to make sure they're doing theirs.
Okay. So far, we've been asking for the drug card. Many of them show up with a paper copy of something, a drug test, but they don't get cards. Some of that has limited information on it. Some of them has everything on it. Is that what you want a picture of?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have the option as well to upload a file. So for example, if you get sent their drug entire panel test via email, you have the capability of attaching that file as well. So you don't necessarily have to print that out and take a photo and upload it. You can upload that file. Does that make sense? Thank you. And then also just another housekeeping rule on this. Please do not add in extra drug cards for people that are not on site. So for example, if Wilhelm reaches out and says all these guys are going to be on site and they send you 10 drug cards, but only 4 guys show up and complete the site orientation, please only upload those 4 drug cards, because we need the exact information to match the drug cards and the site orientation. Because if we see extra drug cards, we're going to wonder where their signature was for the site orientation, and that just becomes a mess. So just general housekeeping, be mindful of that. And then at the end of the month, and I note this on the SOP as well, but you need to make sure you're clicking close, because that means you're officially done with that, and it'll send auto distribution, and I know that this inspection is good to check. Any other questions on that?
Yeah.
Carly, I had a quick question. Does putting a due date ping a reminder on an email or something that we do need to close it out at the end of the month?
Wait, what was it? Can you say your question again?
So I know that there's a due date section above the contractor's name. If we put a due date in there, will it like ping us an email to close it out, or will it close it out automatically?
No, it would only do that if you trigger an observation.
Okay.
And so let's say, for example, you do have the capability of setting up an observation for yourself to keep yourself accountable. But I would just say a good practice is just to do this as soon as your site orientation is complete every single time, and to keep monitoring that your site orientation sheet signatures match up with your drug cards every time.
Okay, thanks.
If you do want a reminder, you can just throw it on your Outlook.
Any other questions on how it looks on the computer before I show you guys how it works on the iPad? Nope, okay.
So before we move on,
Yep, just kidding.
so one thing we need to remember is we need to look at the contract and look at the requirements for the drug testing, because I've been getting stuff from other subcontractors, like doing a home test, and so that stuff's not acceptable. Is it specific what's acceptable with the drug test, the number of panels, the medical review officer has to sign it? So these guys picking up drug tests from Walmart and sending them in does not work, so.
And some of the rapid tests.
The SOP will be going out after this meeting, so if you're not familiar with what's acceptable, double check it. It details it, so.
You're fine. And this is just a screen recording of how it looks on the iPad. I'll walk through it briefly. Again, if you have any questions on this process, SOP will be sent out after, but just reach out to me via email or give me a call to walk through this with you. But on the iPad, you want to make sure you're on the correct project, and then you will click inspections, and it's selecting the project. Then you'll click inspections, and then in the top right-hand corner, you'll click that orange plus sign and click subcontractor site orientation. And on this, you need to click the responsible contractor. Again, that's the most important part. So you need to label that. And then once that happens, it gives you the option to move to the next page in the top right-hand corner. And then it'll pull you to this screen. So this is much different than the previous screen on the computer. So when you're on this section of the iPad, it has the 1.1 site orientation. You need to select the I that's in a circle for more info, because once you select that, it'll pull up 1.1 and it'll allow you to select a response. And then it's kind of hard to see because the bar, but at the very bottom, once you select a response, it'll tell you to add a comment, attach a photo or a file, or take a photo, just like the computer did as well.
And just like all the other inspections, so like your supervisor weekly safety audit, same thing.
And then this is, I paused this at a bad time, but this is what the new site orientation sheet looks like. And this will be sent out as well. Again, I have a fillable form, so you're more than welcome to pass around your iPad to your site guys and have them fill it out. But it's going to have, my company was Carl's Carpentry at the top, but, and then you'll have their name, their hard hat sticker number, and then their signature. And then that's what you'll be comparing to see if you have all your drug cards. And then you'll just take a photo of that, and then you'll save that. It'll upload, and you want to make sure you have a response, and then you'll move on to the drug card section. You'll want to mark a response again, choose a photo from your library or take one. I just captured a random drug card from the corner. And then you'll save that, and then it'll move to the last section. The select response, not applicable in my case. And then you'll go in to the top and hit save. And right here where it says status, You are more than welcome to keep it open until the end of the month, so you can go in and edit it without reopening it. But if you'd like, mark the status as closed, and then you can just go in and re-edit your inspection every time you have a new part. Are there any questions on how it looks on the iPad?
I got a question. So
Yeah.
you said you close it out each month. So we're going to keep a running tab of Carter though the entire project, or each month start a new Carter?
Each month will be a new one, just because that's how we track it in deliverables. But yeah, that's a good question.
Each trade has a separate month. Okay.
Yeah, so like for March, like Wilhelm will have all of Wilhelm's for the entire month, and then next month you'll just start a new inspection. So you'll only,
The guys that were previously checked in last month.
yeah. So like you'll just create a new inspection every time you have a new contractor, but then at the beginning of the month, you'll create all new inspections for your new subcontractors. That's a good question. Any other questions about this process? That's the process. And we'll send out the SOPs.
Okay. So,
Quick question.
go ahead.
If somebody comes in and says, well, they're hard hats, the stickers that we got here, we had a certain batch that were not very durable, and they get destroyed just being bumped around. They want a new sticker. Is there a way to look up if we're getting a new sheet every month? Is there a way to look up their old sticker, or is that in an archive somewhere?
So you will have access to look at that site orientation checklist and the inspection at all times. So like if Tom's hard hat sticker wore off next month, you'd be able to find when he was on site, and then you would just go to that site orientation for Buckingham, since that would be his company. You would just look on that sign-in sheet right then and there and look at Tom and look at his hard hat number. So these will always be available because they live in Procore. So you can always go back and check. You would just have to know what month they started.
Or you could just have them provide their drug card again and give them a new sticker and just add them to the sheet as like a new person.
That's also a good
But
way.
if you guys are
That's
having
easier.
issues with the stickers, I think that's a good question. Is anyone else on the other sites having issues with the quality of the sticker? Do we need to adjust that and like buy different ones?
Well,
Any
we
other
had
sites?
That's where we had, we came in late, and we had some that were kind of paper.
Oh,
We have some vinyl ones, but we had
Oh,
one
the
batch.
temporary ones,
Yeah.
gotcha. I know what you're talking about now, Dave. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure like the regular ones we're buying, we're not running into any issues.
No, not so much trouble with those, but the paper
Okay,
ones, they
yeah.
didn't last very long.
Anything else? Yeah, well, that's it. Appreciate everybody coming.
thank you guys. Just reach out to me with any questions and we'll roll out the SOPs via email.